Let me go over an important concept relative to marketing. And what brought this to my attention is we're coming up on Halloween. And so here's the concept is it's a ratio of 3 to 1. So what do I mean 3 to 1 is your patients should be hearing from you at a ratio of 3 to 1. 3 to 1 means that 3 times they should be hearing from you with informative information, etc., without asking for anything. In other words, you're not doing a promotion, you're not asking for a referral, nothing. The ratio is 3 to 1. The reason I point this out is too many times, the only time the doctor talks to the patients is when they're doing a promotion. In other words, when they want something. And you can't do that. You get, we as consumers get deaf. I mean, this kind of reminds me of what I just recently am going through. Recently went to a general practitioner. And what was the first thing? So he tied into one of these organizations, that text you about Google reviews and all that. So it's the first time I seen him. It wasn't a referral, it was a cold call. First time I seen him, and everything went all right. But I'm still dealing with my issues. And what's the first thing that I get from him when I leave? A text wanting a good review. Not how am I doing? How am I responding? How was this? How was that? Nothing. He wanted to, in others, and then every time I got a text for him, it was about giving him a good review. Now he doesn't realizing it, but he's destroying the relationship. So much so, here I am talking to it about you. And so it's a 3 to 1 ratio, meaning that when you do your promotional programs, your monthly and office promotions, your referrals, all the things that we do, the spouse referral, the kids' day, all those different things. That is not what they should be hearing from you, the majority. The majority should just be informative information at a rate of 3 to 1. So here's Halloween coming up, and it reminded me, I'm like, this is a classic example of stirring good publicity. Remember, some of the best publicity that you can do in your office is publicity that has high emotional content. High emotional content. What does that mean? Well, people love it when people dress up, or kids dress up, or pets dress up, or things like that. So an example, it'd be like if you had a pet dress up, you were going to have a contest with your patients where they can bring their pet in, for the next 2 weeks, and you take pictures of them. And even better if it's a video of the doctor holding the pet, what's the pet's name, what's his favorite food and color, just saying stupid stuff like that. In other words, talking to him like a human. People love that. People love it. There's high emotion, especially when it's a pet, and especially little kids, when little kids are dressed up. So you want to take advantage of these opportunities that are just fun, to do events or take pictures or videos of it, and just send it out without asking for anything. It becomes very important. So when you do ask for something, they actually respond. And it's a great way to keep in touch with your people. Send them stuff out. I do that all the time. Almost every time I go on vacation, I'm cutting a video about this or that, and I'm sending it out. Just little stuff, or what's going on, but just keep in mind what's emotional. And generally pets are emotional, kids are emotional, things like that. But here's a great opportunity. If you're in your office, now's a great opportunity to do a publicity and do an event. Don't do anything for new patients for Halloween. We should be finishing the new patient appreciation for October anyway. But do for Halloween, and then just do like a pet dress up. Whoever wants to bring their pet in, and do it for 2 weeks, or if you wanted to do it on one particular day, the day that's closest to Halloween, and then offer a prize, or even for the kids, if the kids are under a certain age, definitely corresponds better if your office is open on Halloween when they're already dressed up, because they're not as likely to go out of their way to dress up to come in just to your office. But you definitely have a higher chance of them dressing up if they already have dressed up for Halloween and they just stop by your office. So, but that's a good thing. In the older days, they used to also, the healthcare facilities used to offer free x-rays for the candy. Now, that's kind of a two-edged sword. Nowadays, I don't even think people they're so cautious about candies and all that stuff. But the only thing I don't like about that is the negativity associated with it. So you might want to consider that. But definitely do a dress-up contest. And even if it's not that particular day, just do it for 2 weeks. Bring your child in who dressed up as Halloween character that they're going out as Halloween, or bring your pet in dressed up as Halloween character, and then, do a little prize. Remember, you always want to give a prize. And I always say the easiest prizes are dinner for two, that's the number one prize. Movie tickets for two is number two prize. And then everybody gets an office promotional gift like the pizza cutter with your name and phone number on it. So, see, that's just really easy stuff you should just be doing routinely. And just getting, attaching you with an emotion, something of emotion. But that's why when you talk about kids, I'm talking about younger kids, pets, things like that. So this is a great opportunity with, something like Halloween to do an event. Don't ask for anything. Just do a pet, Halloween contest. Take pictures of everybody, all that kind of thing. And then always take pictures or a video. Video is always the best. It's always the best with the doctor in the video, with the participants or even the winners, and just announcing. And all the doctor has to do is just announce what he did. What was the event? Hey, we did this. This was the event. Here were the awards, and this was the winner. That's all the doctor has to say. Just what was this about? That's it. You don't have to, be an actor. Just what was this about? And then remember, when you get this material, it should always be multiplied, where you always want to SEO it and send it to YouTube. You always want to embed it and create a blog and syndicate it and send it out. You always want to upload it to your Facebook site. You always want to upload it to your Instagram, Pinterest site. I mean, every time you get a piece of content, it always goes to those venues, period. And that's how you get tremendous awareness and regular awareness and things like that. Okay. But I'll just tell you, you'll get some of the most contents. You go ahead and post pictures of either little kids dressed up as Halloween figures with the doctor and who won, and pets, one or the other, if you want to do them both. And then take pictures of the pets dressed up as characters. People will love that. And so get used to it. Get used to finding a reason to send something emotional that'll put a smile on your patient's face. And that's the key, emotion, not logic. Don't send them, the latest research on low back study shows chiropractic's better than medicine. Don't send out crap like that. That is not what appeals to human beings. Remember, we purchase emotionally, we justify logically. So once a month, try to send out something emotional, even if it's an emotional story, or, look for the emotion in a story or a patient or with you, your family. That's even if you have weddings. That's why some other examples are your staff's birthday. We always celebrated every staff member's birthday. I always got one of those big white chocolate cakes from, the grocery store, and put up a table in the waiting room. Everybody got a piece of cake for, the staff member's birthday. And we put up balloons and all that. And then see, it's stuff like that. That's what creates a really good feeling. And so you want a 3-to-1 ratio. And by the way, that's called publicity. That's called publicity, is what that's called. It's called good publicity. It's called heartwarming good publicity. So these are some of the just real classic examples, but it just reminded me Halloween's coming up. But these are just some ways that you should always look to the positive side. We're not just asking, you're doing it, you're just sharing something emotional that's relevant from a human perspective. Especially the national events like Halloween. That's a national event, okay? And you're not going to be asking for anything for Halloween, all right? But anyway, take that for what you will, but you will be surprised at how much attention and and feedback it'll give you. I can tell you when I post something to Facebook, I can tell you exactly how big of a response it's going to be. And here's the rule. The more emotional it is, the bigger the response it's going to be. The more logical it is, the less response it's going to be. That's just how it works. So start paying attention to the emotional categories, especially the national events, to promote it, but don't ask for anything. Remember, the ratio's 3-1. They should be hearing from you 3 times just about nice stuff, somebody's birthday, or this happened in the office, or this or that, okay? And then they hear from you and say, oh, we're doing this promotion. Now you're asking for something.